For problems 8 through 10, we're going to graph the following functions. Be sure to clearly label your axes and show at least 0 to 2 pi radians. A reminder, the general form for a trig equation is a times, I'm going to use sine, but this goes for cosine as well. A sine of b times x minus h plus k. And sometimes you'll see those big brackets around the b times x minus h. That doesn't mean anything other than just like an extra set of parentheses. Okay, A is your amplitude. That is the height from the midline to the maximum point. It's also just your stretch factor. B is the number of cycles from 0 to 2 pi, and we can use the formula period equals 2 pi over b to figure out how long one cycle is. H is our horizontal shift. K is our vertical shift. We also call this the midline. And we need all of these components to be able to graph. So looking at number 8, y equals 2 sine of x minus pi. Here our amplitude is 2. There is no b value, so we can assume that that's just 1. And all that means, again, because the period is equal to 2 pi over b, is that our period is 2 pi over 1. It's just 2 pi units long. So the length of one sine wave is going to be 2 pi units. Our horizontal shift is pi. That shift is going to be to the right because our h is positive. And then our midline is at 0. So I'm going to scale out to 3 pi because I know that we're shifting this graph to the right pi units. And I know that because my period is 2 pi units long, my cycle is going to start at pi and end at 3 pi. Okay, let's see. The midline is at 0, so we're not going to be shifting this graph up or down, just to the right. And my amplitude is 2. So I'll scale my y-axis out to 2 and negative 2. So this is what my wave is going to look like. Again, notice the length of the period. It's 2 pi because our cycle is starting at pi, ending at 3 pi, so that length is 2 pi. We knew to start it at pi because of the horizontal shift. We knew that the midline was 0, so this graph is not shifted vertically. And then the amplitude is 2, so the height right here is 2. Okay, that's it for graph number 8. For number 9, another amplitude of 2. Here our b value is 3. So the period is 2 pi over b, so 2 pi over 3. No horizontal shift. And our midline is at 3. Okay, so again, we're asked to scale out to at least 2 pi radians, so we can do pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 3, which is just pi, 4 pi over 3, 5 pi over 3, and 6 pi over 3, which is 2 pi. We are shifting this graph vertically up 3 units. So I want to make sure that my y-axis goes up pretty high. We'll make this go out to 5. Okay, I'm going to start with my midline at 3. What this means is that my sine wave, or my cosine wave in this case, because it is cosine in our equation, needs to be going through this line. No horizontal shift, so we are just starting right on the y-axis. Our period is 2 pi over 3, so that actually means that if we start on the y-axis, our cycle that is, it's going to end at 2 pi over 3. And our amplitude is 2, which means that if our midline is at 3, our max point is going to be at 5, and our minimum point is going to be at 1. So let's draw that cycle. Okay, notice that this wave looks, or this cycle looks a little different from the one in number 8, because one cycle of your sine wave looks like this, whereas cosine looks like that. So that's why that shape looks like that. You can see here that the amplitude, the distance from that midline to the max point, is 2. Our period is 2 pi over 3. No horizontal shift because we started our cycle right on the y-axis, and then our amplitude's good. So that's it for number 9. For number 10, our amplitude is -1. That means that this graph has to be reflected. It's going to be flipped across the x-axis. B is 1/4. Period equals 2 pi over 1/4. Do keep change flip when you're dividing. 2 pi divided by 1/4 is the same thing as 2 pi times 4, and you're going to get 8 pi. We're shifting this graph negative pi units, so that's to the left, again, because of the x plus pi. And here our midline is at 1. So I'll do that over to the left. Let's see, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4, 5, 6, 7 pi, 8 pi, and in the other direction, negative pi. Okay, for the y-axis, we'll do 1, -1, and -2. Oh, actually, I need to go up further. Okay, starting with my midline, it's at 1. So we'll draw that first. That's good to go. Our horizontal shift is negative pi units, so we are moving that towards the left. That means that my starting point is here at negative pi. The length of one cycle, the period, is 8 pi. So if we're starting at negative pi,